People are full of surprises, especially when you travel together. Thankfully, Vrbo is not. When you book a Vrbo, you get Vrbo Care and 24/7 live support, so your house doesn't surprise you like your friends might. If something's not as described or doesn't work, Vrbo's there. Real people, real support, anytime. Book today on the Vrbo app. If you know, you Vrbo. Terms apply. See vrbo.com/trust for details.
This episode is brought to you by Ferrero. Soccer's biggest stage is approaching, and Ferrero is making it easy to go all in. Pick any two Ferrero brands from Kinder Bueno to Ferrero Rocher, and you could win the $1 million grand prize, plus an exciting range of daily and weekly prizes. Don't miss your shot. Official rules apply. Learn more at goallinandwin.com.
Welcome to Diz and Hers, the show about what's happening in the Disney community from his, hers, and your perspective. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Eric. And on today's show, we take a look at the best attractions found in the Disney parks and those that you're not willing to wait in line for. We also find out exactly how much people are spending on their average Disney vacations, down to how much they budget each day.
Ooh, juicy. But before we get started, we want to remind you that Diz and Hers can be found on all your favorite podcast platforms and also in video format on YouTube and Spotify. We'd love it if you could head over to Apple, give us a review, and let us know what you want to talk about in an upcoming show.
And on this show, like we talked about, we're going to talk about rides and kind of an interesting backstory here for you. So we were just in Virginia Beach. It seemed like the longest drive of all time.
Oh my gosh, because there was no Disney payoff at the end.
Right. We even searched to see if there were any Disney stores nearby, and I think they were all like 4 or 5 hours away and completely out of pocket. So no, we came back from a cheering competition, and on our way back, we were looking for some podcasts to listen to. And what do we typically listen to? We have to find a podcast that you and I both like.
Eric is a huge podcast listener. I am an audiobook. I do listen to some, but so we really do have to come together. And so typically the Disney Dish is always approved. Disney History Institute, those are ones that are easy go-tos for us to agree on. But you found a new podcast that you're really liking.
Well, yeah. So a couple months ago, prior to launching, I think Diz and Hers, you do everything. You do some market research. Is there room for more Disney podcasts? And the answer is probably no. There's a million.
I say there's always room for Disney podcasts.
But we didn't care. We just forced one in there anyway. We had so that's how Diz and Hers. But one of the things that I was going through is finding out, all right, who are the top prominent podcasts out there right now? Because we know the Disney Dish historically ranked very high in America for listeners. I think WDW Radio with Lou Mangello was one of those high ones. But I was surprised because I found on this list, and I searched all different types of places. I found one called For Your Amusement, which I never heard of before, but it was highly rated. And I said, what the heck is this? So I typically go on there and I listen to all types of podcasts. I've subscribed to, I say, hundreds of Disney podcasts over the years. And then I make the cut based off of how much, I enjoy and get some value out of or relate to the host and so forth. But I found the For Your Amusement and started listening to them. Now, if you're not familiar, For Your Amusement is hosted by Ryan Bogara and Byron Marin. Never heard those names before, but I was surprised. You go on YouTube and they had 21,000 subscribers, and they've been putting out episodes. I think they have 134 videos right now, and they have a pretty active Patreon community. So I said, why not give it a try? So, Lauren, you and I listened to an episode. You've actually listened to it because it goes on our YouTube algorithm, right?
Oh my gosh, yes, we wake up to these guys. It's just two guys in someone's basement talking, but all they talk about is rides, which blows my mind. Do they talk about anything else? He's like, nope, just rides.
Yeah, well, I think the whole premise of their podcast is that they have a formula at the end where they kind of grade each attraction, and they'll do Disney, Universal. It sounds to me like they're coaster heads, so they do a lot of other coasters. But for the most part, it's very Disney.
Is that a
and
thing,
Universal.
coaster head, or did you make that up?
No, he made that up. It's the first time I'm not a coaster head. I appreciate a coaster, but if it gets too high in the ground or in the sky, I am not into it. They were talking about giga coasters. I'm like, what is that? That's a coaster that is over 300 feet in the air. So they're teaching me all types of new things. So they're and I think they're West Coasters. But I did want to share with everybody because I thought it was really funny. There is a tool out there called Rephonic, REPHONIC, and I've used this before. And if you get a paid subscription, it actually gives you all types of information about podcasts. It'll give you things like general audience data, but it also give you like listeners per episode and followers. And this is stuff you can't. Podcasts are kind of interesting, Lauren, right? From an advertising perspective, there's no data out there publicly available.
No, and that's why influencers are so big, because anybody can go onto a social platform and see how many people are following an individual. Where podcasts, I mean, like, you really don't know. Like, you really have to search to find the, big ones.
Yeah, and so at the end of the day, you could be an influencer and have, let's say, 100,000 followers. You could have a podcast have 300,000 followers, and most people wouldn't know.
Exactly.
There's no way to tell. I guess you can look at, a lot of times when you look at it, you look at reviews and see how many. But back in the old days, there was a review game. You could get thousands of reviews by asking and promoting. And this day and age, firstly, there's not a lot of people that are giving reviews. You have to ask for them, and you're not allowed to incent at any point in time.
Yeah,
hey,
but
I'll
please
give
give
you a
us
free
a
t-shirt.
review.
Yeah. We're not giving any t-shirts, but this was a cool on there, and it looked like right now that they're like 38th in the United States on Apple Podcasts. So that's a free one out there. But
look at that.
Enough for your amusement. Look them up. Give it a try. I think it's solid. But the reason we're talking today is because a specific episode that we listened to on the way home, right?
Yeah, and this was it's April now. I don't know if this is a new podcast, but they were doing a March Madness bracket to decide on the top ride in America. So it was a 2-part episode because it was long. And it just wrapped up. So we won't spoil the ending, but we certainly do have thoughts. We were playing along in the car, which, cut off a little bit of time for our 800-year trip to and from Virginia Beach.
Yeah, and I thought it would be interesting enough to talk about. They did mention that they did release it in April, so they were definitely late to the game. So it was a March Madness, but they
I think they had to they must have been putting it out on social media, and they were getting feedback. So it wasn't them just doing it. It was them and, America or their listeners.
Yeah. So we're not going to do the exact hash of that, but basically they were just saying which attraction would be the best in America. And they went through, and you have all the heavy hitters, and they did a lot of based off of down queue length, like how long you would wait in queue for it. And that's how they seeded it. But you and I, on the other hand, had some hot takes on some of their picks. And more importantly, we had questions that a lot of it came down to me is like, well, that's a great ride, but let's weigh in how long you have to wait in for that ride. And that is where I think you stumbled upon a nice Reddit forum. That kind of...
Yeah, because obviously I have nothing but time in the car, so I'm just going down the scroll hole. So back to the People's Internet, Reddit on the Disney World forum, and that somebody asked which rides are not worth the wait in each park. So they said, I wonder what others' opinions are when it comes to rides or attractions that are never worth the wait in each park. I'm not including any character meet and greets. And he or she says, mine are Hollywood Studios, anything in the Toy Story area, Navi River, what? Epcot. They didn't have one for Epcot.
No,
and then
Magic
Kingdom
blank.
Tron. Yeah, right. Basically, they are willing to wait for everything at Epcot. So what did people have to say?
Well, there was common themes here, and we want you guys all to chime in what you're thinking. There were common themes. I think Bricko16 said, I never understood why people would wait an hour plus for Peter Pan's flight. And
would you wait an hour plus for Peter Pan's flight?
How often do we wait for Peter Pan? It's
never.
Yeah, because I won't wait. Listen, love the attraction on
My
both
mom
coasts.
loves it, so we do it for Go-Go. But
yeah, but it's a rope dropper. There's
Yeah.
because you can't let it go. So if you do that, then you're sacrificing something else, and I typically won't. But there's other people says I usually wait a few minutes before park closes. I think we've done that, and of course, it appeals to younger kids. So going late is a good idea in general. So yeah, when you wake up in the
Or
morning,
go to California. I don't feel like their wait's as long.
oh, I
for
think
Peter
that I
Pan.
think it is. I think it. I mean, it was. We've only done it once, and the couple times we went because it is once again rope dropper. So what was a couple other ones that caught your eye that was a common trend?
Big Mac said Navi River. It's such an odd one. It gets so much hate, even though it's a perfectly fine ride. And I would say for us, like that is one of the first rides that we do. Like if we're gonna rope drop Animal Kingdom for the hour or 2 hours that we're there, like I really enjoy it. Like the shaman at the end, that animatronic takes my breath away every time. So like I would give it 20 minutes, a half an hour, but we've never really waited probably much more than that because we try to do it at rope drop.
Yeah, I would walk by if it's 60 minutes. And that just comes down to your decision. So we're not necessarily the biggest Flight of Passage fans. We waited 3 hours when it first opened. That was a wonderful, it's a great experience. But Motion Simulator, it's one of those, I get a little queasy on it. And I don't get queasy on those. So if you're thinking of, hey, we're going to Animal Kingdom, you're going to rope drop one. We're completely fine rope dropping Navi River to get that off the list because we enjoy it, but I certainly don't enjoy it 60 minutes wait. And I think that is the sentiment on a lot of these. And this is where it all comes down. Like you can really love an attraction, but it's how much do you have to pay to do that attraction? And I think that's the common trend. We're not saying these attractions are bad. I think Navi is fine. It's the shaman itself is worth the price of admission to see that, but are you going to wait 60 minutes? I'm not going to. What else did you see?
Right, but I think that if you look at your day, say that your ticket was $180 and you divide that by the amount of time you're spending in the park, your time is really money if you look at it. So it's kind of like what you said, worth the price of admission. And one that you and I do not agree on is Mine Train at the Magic Kingdom. I will gladly give my 60 minutes worth of my monies to go on that because I just genuinely enjoy it. It makes me happy, and you're a hard pass, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of people on that say the same thing. I'm looking at the governor basically saying Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is one on there. And then you go to Hurtful Product, which is, once again, Mine Train. The coaster's very boring, and rocking makes it even more worse so. So I don't know. I don't think it's a boring coaster. I barely think it's a coaster, to be honest. I kind of like more of the dark ride elements of it, but it's always super busy. It's a pain in the butt when you have to rope drop and march your way there. You can never really tell how long the line really is because sometimes they'll have you going all the way down to Dumbo or Little Mermaid, and they just don't have the inside queue.
You know that that's kind of fabricated because they want you to go do something else. Len did something on one of the Disney dishes that we were listening to on the way to Disney World one time, talking about when is the real best time to go do things based on the statistics of it. And that is still a rope drop, but it depends where you're at in the rope drop. Remember?
Yeah, he says you got to be touching the rope.
You got to be touching the rope if you if for it to make sense. So if you're just coming in at the tail end of right when the park is going to open, by then the lines are crazy. But that's one I would happily wait for. And I think it's in the same ballpark with Slinky Dog. Would you say that that's a
I would wait
coaster?
Slinky Dog. I mean, I get their concept of it's a terrible queue. It's boring to the queue. You just walk through and so forth. I get that. I enjoy Slinky Dog way more. There is more elements to it. It seems a little longer. I don't know if that's actual or not, but it seems longer, which matters. I do not agree with the earlier statement of everything in Toy Story Land is overrated. I like Toy Story Mania. I think that's worth it. The queue inside is nice. You're inside an air conditioned. There's things to look at. Alien Saucers, I would not wait a long period of time. I think I got about maybe a 30-minute max tolerance for that. I don't really enjoy the ride that much, but I would wait Slinky. I would wait up to an hour, and we have. And
I mean, like, even if you have a lightning lane situation, you're still going to wait probably 20 minutes, but I say it's worth it. The Drink Responsible 2285 says, as an annual pass holder, literally any ride that's over 15-minute wait, I'll catch it next weekend. Do you agree with that statement? Because we are
no 15 minutes. Like, what can you get in 15 minutes now? That's the thing. It's like, I think the statement is we are annual pass holders, and there are attractions that I absolutely say, well, we're going to wait. We're not going to do, I won't do Haunted Mansion for 45 minutes. Love Haunted Mansion. It's my favorite attraction. But I also know that if we're smart, we can get Haunted Mansion for 20 minutes. Same with Small World. There are attractions that I am not willing to wait. It's almost just a matter of knowing what is going through and knowing how long a good queue is in terms of like, all right, 45 minutes is too much because it'll go down later. Cheap plug, things like Lines, the app, the touring plans, Lines helps you understand and even tells you, do this later, do this now kind of element. So you don't have to memorize them kind of like we do. But yeah, as a pass holder, I get their idea. I think they're being a little too literal with 15 minutes. If they're really meaning, hey, we know what times to go on stuff, that makes a lot more sense. Before we move on, Lauren, I do want to get one because I know it's a polarizing topic, especially you and I are going to differ 100%, much like Mine Train. Frozen Ever After. Yeah, I will absolutely not wait. I would wait a half an hour, but what are you waiting, 90 minutes sometimes?
Listen, I will do what it takes to get my butt to Arendelle. It's just one of the things that makes me happy. And, it's kind of like the beach in our family. Nobody likes it, but sometimes they'll suck it up for mom. Nobody in our family really enjoys Frozen Ever After besides me, and our little guy at one point really despised it because what's the big snow monster?
Is it Snowball or something like that?
Yeah. Or something like that. But anyway, when we go back down, the next time, I know we have a trip for July. We're talking about other possible trips, but I will certainly wait an hour if needed to see their new faces.
Well, I will, you know what? And it's probably going to be longer because everybody wants to see that. And I guess I will jump in that line and at least have something to say, well, we'll see how it looks and how it looks in person. But we want to hear from you guys. What do you think? What are we missing here? Are there any of them that we left off for the most part?
So we're talking about saving time here because time is money. And so many people are, taking advantage, skipping the lines, utilizing Lightning Lane, which does add up because taking a Disney vacation is expensive. So after this break, we're going to hear from the community on how much they're paying for a Disney vacation after this.
Refreshing wild cherry cola meets smooth cream. The treat you deserve. Pepsi Wild Cherry and Cream. Treat yourself.
K-pop Demon Hunters, Haja Boy's breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
All right, and we're back, and this next one is pretty interesting because it comes from you're just an observation on TikTok, which doesn't really have much to do with Disney at all, but kind of sparked our brain. So, Lauren, kind of give us an update on this next story and how we start talking about how much if you pay to go to a Disney and how that even came about from you finding some random video on TikTok.
Yes. So on last week's episode, we talk about how we had it would be like a mini viral video for us about our basement. So that's on the Disneyverse TikTok. But if you're a new, I'm just assuming here, if you are a new creator and you're putting things on TikTok, I'm getting served a bajillion videos of this is how you grow your following. You need to do this. You need to do that, whatever. And so I was watching and I saw one and it was a woman who owned social media marketing marketing agency, and she was talking about like people love to know how much something costs, how much shampoo you use, how much money you spend on your car payment, whatever it is. People are just super interested in that. Like it's the like marketing psychology.
Right.
And I was like, well, I can definitely see that. Like, I would love to know how much people are actually spending on a Disney vacation. Because, like, with us, people are like, oh my gosh, how much money do you guys make where you're down at Disney all of the time? Like, what are you doing? You know, because when they're going, they're spending, you know, $10,000 or whatever. But for us, you know, we're frugal in other areas of our life, having passes and having DVC. Like, that makes a difference when you're going down. We would price out going to Cedar Point for the weekend, and it was more than, you know, a Disney trip for us. So that had us thinking. So obviously, going back to Reddit, to that Disney World subreddit, how much does your Disney World trip end up costing? And people were spilling the tea. What do they have to say, Eric?
Well, I think a lot of it. So once again, just to echo your statement, like we're not all created equal, and we'll admit that there are people like there are the all-star people, which we often fall ourselves in, and then there are Grand Floridian and Polynesian bungalows, right? So this is interesting because I think you hear about it and you just hear everybody spending mad amounts of money. So it was interesting to see what. And there is kind of a consensus here. So I don't know. You guys will have to tell us if you fall in the same boat or if you're in the high end, low end. But right off the get-go, we started seeing a lot of people kind of saying it's about $1,000 a day. Now, that is $1,000 a day. There's a lot of things there. If it's one person, that's a lot versus, let's say, 8. But it sounds to me like generally an average family of 4, there were people that were saying about family of 4 or 5, $1,000 a day is kind of where it starts. And this was about a year ago. So obviously we know things can change, but that's where we start. But what else were you seeing, Lauren?
Yeah, so Games People Play says, hey, that's not bad if you can get away with $1,000 a day. These folks were staying at the Poly for 7 nights, 5-day park passes with Park Hopper was $6,600 for 2 adults and 1 child. I think that then they go on to talk about dining, and they do like to eat at nice places. So they were going to say over $10K, which makes sense to me. I'd never heard that like $1,000 a day rule, but like thinking, you know, just kind of reverse engineering, it makes a lot of sense. And then, you know, this one had an 8-night trip to the Poly with lots of character meals, and that was $15,000.
Yeah, I mean, if you throw the Poly on there, that's a big deal. Poly is what's it going? $800 a night? So
yes.
Yeah, you're going to be over 1,000 real quick by the time you just eat a breakfast. So it's interesting to see how many, you know, like we've come into the conclusion, like when we were a family of 4, trips were a little bit more easier a pill to swallow. When you go to 5, your room's got to you got to find a 5-person room, or you got to get 2. And then there's also extra mouths to feed. And those character meals add up real quick, regardless of the age, it seems like. But we found we went to Spooky Lurky or Spooky Lukey or whatever, how much you spend in each day of your trip. I thought this was interesting. So planning a 5-day 4-park trip in March, how much are you supposed to budget? Basically YouTube videos, and everybody was kind of saying $100 a day for food per person. And do you think that's about right, Lauren?
I actually do. And we were just talking about this before we got on with our own, you know, personal situation, having 3 kids. And I mean, like we talked about, Disney vacations are expensive, but Disney's food is expensive. Like if you're at any type of sit down situation. So I think, it also depends what you're ordering. You're not going to go get a steak at Be Our Guest and think that you're going to do $100 a day for food, unless that is really your only meal, and then you're filling in with maybe like snacks or quick service. That's what I think. This one says that this is Rudin 2300. We budgeted $150 per day for food, drinks, merch, and then lightning lane. So I think that that's in the ballpark, but they said they ended up upping it to $200 per day per person for their trip.
Yeah, it comes together real quick, especially if you're looking at lightning lanes, individual lightning lanes, the snacks just in general. I mean, what do we... I feel like when we were at a Disneyland, I bought 3 chocolate-covered bananas just because we wanted to taste them. And I was like, all right, that was $40 right there.
I was going to say $35.
Yeah.
And definitely if you want to, like, eat your way through Disney and, like, trying all the snacks, like, they really add up. Or if you are going to Food and Wine or you're going to Flower and Garden with the food booths, I think people are like, okay, well, like, I want to try this, I want to try this. But to actually get filled up, like, it's going to be the price of a sit-down meal. But also a big savings for, like, us and our family is driving to the parks. We actually enjoy that drive, and I think that because there's a Mickey Mouse at the end. And so that's kind of like extra family time for us. But you can easily add 2,500, 3,000, up to 5,000 probably for flights, depending on, you know, your family size and where you're flying out of.
Yeah, and I got to wonder if the people are factoring that in, right? Like at the end of the day, like when you're looking at this, they're saying 10,000, 15,000. Are you factoring in getting there? Because or the Ubers or the car rentals, like it all depends on which. For us, we're looking at it overall, so we can save thousands of dollars by just driving because you know, gas can be expensive, but we're definitely in a drivable situation. We could never drive to Disneyland, but we certainly can drive to Florida. And we learned that we were really, really frugal in our early days.
Oh, yeah. Like when we were in the beginning, we're not in the financial situation to just be doing whatever we wanted whenever we wanted. Like we were watching every penny, and it was hilarious because we didn't even have our third child at the time, but we did have 2 that could order kids' meals. So it was like I would get an adult meal, we'd get 2 kids' meals because at the time they were huge. And then Eric would like eat the leftovers.
Yeah, I was just like ravaging the basic. I was like, all right. So there were meals where I just ate fries because at that time you would like substitute fries for the orange and you just get fries upon fries. And we did that one trip and it worked because it was just like, all right, we got to save. Because my thing is, how many times can we stretch to get to Disney? I remember the first time is like, all right, we're going to drive down there. And it's about a 17-hour drive. And normally people would be like, all right, we're going to stay overnight and halfway through. And I'm like, all right, listen, hear me out here. Everybody can sleep in the car, and I'll drive until 3 a.m. Lauren, you can drive for a couple hours where I get 3 hours of sleep. We end up there, and we get down there. We save ourselves an entire day of almost. We leave at 4 p.m., get there at 9 a.m. in the morning. And I'm like, we saved. Yes. We didn't have to buy that hotel room. We get there earlier. We have more time in the parks. And we all sleep except for me. I got 3 hours. And I usually ran off adrenaline. And we did that forever.
Until I broke my foot and couldn't drive. And because it's less about the financial situation at some points and saying like it's just habit. It's just like what you do. So I knew that at like 3 a.m. we were going to drive through McDonald's. I was going to get a coffee and we were going to power through. Now, we don't do that as much anymore because we kind of broke the cycle when I broke my foot and couldn't drive. But there are definitely ways to cut costs. A big one that you have a lot to say about normally for our trips is the lead up to the trip. So my daughter and I, we have an entire closet that is literally just Disney clothes and lounge flies. And I mean, you all know I do the merch podcast with Jim. I want that too. And so we get the stuff leading up to the trip, and not to mention what you get when you get down there. And I mean, what did you say? Did you say $500, $1,000? Because
easy.
You're
this
also
is
buying
Amazon.
Fresh socks,
right.
some
It's easy to say. That's the thing. It's a hidden cost that before the trip there are things like one year you got everybody brand new fans because we're going in July, so we all have our own little fans, and that adds up. Everybody's getting new shirts because they get beat up. A lot of us are wearing the shirts throughout the year, and they get beat up, and you want to go down there, get nice pictures. So we end up all having brand new shirts, like you said, socks, underwear, all this stuff. So there's a whole bunch of hidden costs before you even go to Disney, which always gets us. But nonetheless, it seems to me that people are saying $200 a day for most people. Trips are anywhere from $1,000 to a couple $1,000 per day overall, based off the family. It's interesting to see where everybody's at, and obviously I wanted to see the other polarizing, because I think everybody on here, we're all trying to be thrifty, we're all trying to save our money, but there are people out there that just do not care. So we went to the same thing, and it was this: what was the most you've spent on a Disney World vacation package? And it's just somebody asking curiously, and there wasn't anybody that really came out with like exorbitant, like crazy funds. But I did think Fluffy Bunny 22 was a good one. He's like, do you want me to count the trip where I bought my DVC? Because obviously that is a one large sum, and then that thread just became everybody saying, oh, I bought this DVC, I bought this. So it's, yes, DVC is if you're counting individual times, that would be your most expensive cost. But I think that does save you in the long run. At least we've noticed that.
Well, I think people are going to want to know, though, like, we're talking about this. Do you have any idea what we spend on a Disney vacation?
Us? Personally, I'm thinking it's about the $1,000 a day. At least that's how I try to budget it out. We're doing quick service when we can. We will splurge for a couple meals here and there. I don't know the Amazon boxes that come ahead of time surely seem like that rises that price up. But yeah, I think about $1,000 a day sounds about accurate. And or $100 a person, But you know what? We'll do better accounting. I'll look at it and
we'll report back.
We'll report back. But we want to know, what are you guys spending? If you're comfortable letting us know, that's just interesting to know what everybody's spending per trip, and how long you're going for, all that kind of good stuff.
Yes. All right. Well, on that note, that is it for this week's episode of Diz and Hers. For more, make sure to hit up dizandhers.com. There you'll find articles, episodes, and updates. And if Disney's your vibe, hit subscribe.
And remember, watch what you post online, because you might end up in next week's episode. Thanks for listening.